Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, another video on my channel where I'm going to be doing an analysis of Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs, which I'm sure everyone's pumped for. I know I am. I can't wait for it to be released. It looks so amazing. Now, I'm going to be doing a brief analysis based on the trailers, the information we have, the speculation of other people, and some stuff that I've put together myself. Now you might be, I'm not sure how this sounds because I've got a new headset, Turtle Beach, which PS3 controllers, PS3 not controllers, what are they called? PS3 headphones. My previous ones were terribly broke in about 3 places. The wires were coming out, so I've replaced them. And this is, well, new headset. So I hope it'll have increased quality. One day I promise I will have a condenser mic, and I will start doing that for everything. But for the moment, it's a bit, well, you know, I have to get a job to get that, get money to actually buy it. Anyway, straight on to Amnesia. Right, okay, so, the previous Amnesia, The Dark Descent, was an absolute masterpiece of frictional games. They did a brilliant job. I mean, just look around on YouTube if you don't know what it is. It is a brilliant piece of work. Right, now, first things first, let's look at the title because that's the easiest place to start. That's the first thing you usually get for any game. And this one, you know, previously it was called Amnesia. The first one was called Amnesia, The Dark Descent. This one's Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs. Now, let's just quickly analyse the title, going by what we know from the first one and hopefully trying to speculate based on that information what the second one will be like. Now, the first Amnesia was called Amnesia, The Dark Descent. Now, obviously enough, when you learn when you first play it, you can probably even speculate from just looking at the title. Amnesia, your character, Daniel, has amnesia. It's literally there in the title. He cannot remember anything about himself or his predicament, except for the fact his name is Daniel, and he lives in Mayfair. And he says he has to stop him. And we find out him is Alexander. Now he leaves a message for himself, and he obviously starts to remember as the game goes on. That's a brilliant gameplay feature there by Frictional Games. It's amazingly well done. But anyway, he has amnesia. That's clear enough, you know. And Dark Descent, it's got several meanings. The way I've looked at it, it's literally a, you know, let's in each individual word dark. Now, obviously, that means dark, as in, you know, the shadows that you know, as in the lack of light in the game. You know, it plays a massive part, and also it plays a part on Daniel's character and life, as you know, and the gameplay itself. Because Daniel has, let me just look, nyctophobia, I believe it's called. Not sure. Is it nyctophobia? Yeah, nyctophobia, which is an intense fear of the darkness. Now, that's brilliant because in a horror game, as you'd expect, horror survival game, you are faced with dark corridors, you know, narrow things. And in other game series, horror survival game series, you encounter, you know, dark hallways and, you know, narrow passageways and tight turns and corners. And that's fine. That's, you know, that's something we've grown to expect. But in Dead Space, for example, where they sort of have flickering lights and, you know, or dark areas, that works well. But Daniel in Amnesia has a fear of the darkness, and you lose sanity from standing in the darkness. That is amazing because it's taken a very common feature from a horror survival game and then put that into, you know, made that a gameplay feature now, because you have to hide from the monsters in the darkness, and yet hiding in the darkness will have an adverse effect on Daniel and you as you play it. That's brilliant. And moving on from that, it means darkness as in the literal darkness, Dark Descent, literal darkness of the game itself. And kind of darkness in terms of, you know, it kind of highlights the importance of the balance of light and dark in the game. It also means, literally, I think the atmosphere of the game is quite dark. It is a really grim tale, if you think about it, as you delve deeper into the game, you learn the horror surrounding the horrible tale surrounding the entire game itself, the lore of the game, and it's brilliant. Now, descent, it means literally dark descent into Brennenberg Castle. You have to go into the center of the castle. You have to descend to the depths of this castle, but I think it also means descent into the backstory and Daniel's dark memories. Dark descent, dark being his past and his memories and his guilt. That's quite a dark aspect, and that's something that you have to descend into as you progress through the game. So overall it's got dark, the amnesia, the dark descent into his memories, amnesia, the dark descent into the literal sense of it, into the castle, amnesia, the dark descent into his guilt, into the horror, facing his fears. It's got so many meanings. Now let's apply that theory to Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs. Working here on trailers and everything, we know that Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs, again, your character Oswald Mandus, I believe, has he's a rich industrialist in London, I believe. I think in one of the trailers he says about enough pigs in London, so I believe this will be set in London, this game, which is again a link to Daniel because he lives in Mayfair, and if you don't know anything about London, Mayfair's a well-to-do part of London. You have to be minted to even consider living there. It's so I guess there's a kind of link between Daniel and Oswald Mandus in the sense they have to be rich to live. Oswald Mandus is a wealthy industrialist, and Daniel lives in Mayfair, so he must be quite rich. So they have kind of a common link there. And A Machine for Pigs, so a machine, and we know it's set in the industrial age, at the turn of the revolution, industrial revolution, what's the turn of the century? It's set in 1899, by the way, 6 years after the Dark Descent, so they have more modern technology, more modernized technology, so they have electricity, and they have slightly more up-to-date equipment rather than Daniel's oil lantern. You have, I'm not sure what you have. I think you have an electric light or something similar. It's still quite ancient compared to our modern day technology, but it is nonetheless updated from Daniel's quite, well, primitive, I'm going to say that loosely, primitive equipment. Now, a machine being obviously the setting of the game will be quite industrial. It'll be set in industrial London, I think. It'll be set in factories and I think it will be set in this quite industrialized, built-up scene. Now, A Machine for Pigs, we know that, I think, pigs being, literally, I think the monsters are going to be pigs, aren't they? We heard they squeal like pigs, and they sound, and I think they look like pigs. There's been a lot of speculation on what they look like. I think people have drawn them looking quite sort of, these humanoid pig figures, which would be terrifying if, it sounds funny now, but they will be terrifying. You've got to admit that will be absolutely terrifying when you see one of them in the game. Now, but pig could also mean, greedy pig. Pig, was it the Soviets always said, capitalist pigs. So, Oswald is a wealthy industrialist, so it could be, in the sense, a machine for pigs, a machine for, those too greedy and wealthy that have taken all they want rather than, what they need, and they're being punished for it by being fed to this machine, whatever the machine is. And I think the machine could be, turned against the factory owners and the wealthy industrialists. So it's kind of a reversal of fate, because instead of the pigs being taken to the slaughtering house, it's almost like Oswald Mandus and maybe the other industrialists are being taken to the slaughter by these now humanoid pig figures. Or it could be the machine, because it says about the machine, dark machine. He's had these dreams about this dark machine, and it starts up and it just roars into life, and it's this. It might produce pigs, or it might be these pig monsters, or it might be their destruction. There's so much it could be, and I'm really looking forward to finding out what it could be. But yeah, I'm thinking if Daniel from Amnesia: The Dark Descent had amnesia and has to descend into the darkness to confront his fears, confront his past, confront his crimes, confront Alexander, who he holds responsible for all of this as well. There's so many meanings to it, and I think Amnesia, because Oswald Manders has, he's lost sort of memories of his parts of his life, and he's trying to piece that back together. But also, Machine for Pigs is, I don't know, a machine that he's built, or a machine that he's got to destroy, or a machine that he's going to be fed to, or a machine that's running his life. It really could be so many things, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what it could be. Right, now, moving on from the title, I've nerdified that enough. This is what happens if you're an English student, by the way. Okay, right, so from the title, we go now to the gameplay features. The gameplay, as you know, in Amnesia: The Dark Descent, has been brilliant. You haven't got any weapons, you can't defend yourself. The only way to defend yourself is by hiding, running, and using your wits, maybe using the environment to your advantage, but you can't fight back directly, can you? You can't say, pull out a knife or a gun. The best you can do is chuck objects at the enemies to stun them for a second whilst you run away. Now I think it's going to be the same, because I don't see, I think it completely destroy Amnesia if they suddenly brought weapons into it. But they have said that they're going to remove the inventory system, so you can't just pause the game or hit tab whenever you hear a scary noise, which will be more immersive and more terrifying. I think that's absolutely the right idea. I mean, admittedly, it will make the game more difficult, but then again, we didn't buy Amnesia to have an easy playthrough. We bought Amnesia because we wanted to be terrified, and we wanted to be immersed in the story. Whatever your reason, we do not want to just be able to easily get away from the horror, because that kind of completely kills the point of having a horror survival game. Now it's the same with Dead Space. They have an inventory system in there where you can access your inventory at any time, and it's quite a easy to use system, but it does not pause the game, and you're still vulnerable to attack, which I think which is good. If they implement that in Amnesia, Machine for Pigs, it'll be the same sort of thing. You'll be able to still be able to check to see what you have. I just don't think that you should be able to pause it, or maybe I think you should be able to see what you have. You just shouldn't be able to pause the game. And I think you should, like, all these things that you could do, where you check your diary and your journal entry and all that. I think you should still be able to do that, just not, at the expense of the continuity of the game. So you shouldn't pause it. You should just read whilst you're on the risk of being attacked, because that's more terrifying, knowing that you're more vulnerable with your attention divided between. You might miss clues, so it might actually kind of help make the game, that bit more engaging, that bit more terrifying, because you have to focus more in order to spot the clues. But by doing that, you're making yourself more engaged in the game, and therefore it's more terrifying when something does jump out or whatever else happens. Now, that's brilliant, I think. And what else? They have said there are some core elements they're keeping, but they are moving a few things around to make it more unpredictable, so it will be as terrifying as the first game. Now, as we know, the first game was absolutely terrifying. It was one of the most successful horror survival games of the current era, and I have no doubt that Frictional Games and the Chinese tea room will be able to pull off another amazing survival horror. But I think what they mean when they say that, they're probably going to make the AIs more intelligent. So I reckon the idea of hiding under a drawer will be removed. You won't be able to do that anymore. They'll probably see you, and you won't necessarily be able to hide in the cupboard. They might just think to check in the cupboard every time, so every few times or something. So I think our reliability of the reliability of cupboards and hiding behind a desk might really be removed, and that's terrifying, a terrifying prospect, because then where do you hide? What else? Okay, right, yeah, the things working against you in Amnesia: The Dark Descent. First of all, you had the shadow. the thing stalking Daniel, hunting him, and the whole thing responsible for drawing him to Brennenburg Castle in the first place. The shadow is the first thing. The second thing is the monsters, the gatherers, Alexander's servants, which are the grunts and the brutes, and then obviously the Karnaks. So yeah, I think that counts. So they're one as well, so that's two things. The amnesia, obviously, the fact he has amnesia, the third thing, he can't remember anything, so it's kind of the danger that he'll walk into a situation that he can't get out of because he doesn't know, or he might walk into a dangerous situation because he doesn't know not to do it, because he's forgotten all about it. And obviously there's a risk of running around the castle lost because you have no idea where you're going now. Now, the amnesia is the third thing. The fourth thing is Daniel's intense fear of the darkness, his nyctophobia. That will be, that has been kind of sort of problem for Daniel because, he has to hide in the darkness. It's a weapon he can use against the monsters, but it's also a problem because, well, he loses sanity when he hides in the darkness, and he has to hide in the darkness. It's kind of a double-edged sword. And the fifth thing is kind of the puzzles that you'll see in throughout the game. You have to do this and this and this and this and this to get forward to the next area. And in order to do one thing to do this, you have to find another thing, and then to do that you have to find a key to get into the room, to find the gear that you need to fix the machine to run the elevator. And it kind of is so many things to do, and it's really engaging. That's 5 things. That's 5 features that they'll probably have to put into. I'm not saying they have to, because they might make it as engaging with less problems. But there's so many things against Daniel. Right now, the first thing. Let's tackle the amnesia thing first. Well, Oswald Manders has amnesia, just like Daniel has, although for different reasons, I have no doubt. Daniel drank an amnesia potion to forget the guilt that he felt, forget why he felt that guilt. He can't feel guilt if he doesn't know what he's done. So he drank the amnesia potion in order to forget, and it worked. And he kind of, as he finds out, though, I think what's brilliant is as he finds out what he's done, instead of feeling guilt, he uses that. He takes the memories of what he's done, and he takes the guilt and the pain and the sorrow he's received from carrying out those actions, and he turns it into determination to carry on and rectify his crimes, which is a brilliant feature. Because my friend actually asked me, why did he take the amnesia potion if he then remembers it all? It's kind of pointless. And I think, well, yes, but he didn't intend to remember. But upon remembering, he's kind of clear about why he needs to do this. So the first part of the game, he's unencumbered by the painful memories and the horror. But kind of the problem is he doesn't know what's going on, which is the danger. And the second half of the game, the danger is he knows what's going on, and the guilt might encumber him again. But I think the benefit of it is that he now knows why he needs to stop Alexander, which is a brilliant way around it. Now, the amnesia for Oswald Manders, I think he's got amnesia because he was in a fever, and he had a fever, and he kind of was unconscious. And I think it's probably another sort of supernatural guardian thing that he's annoyed because it talks about an expedition to Mexico that ended in disaster, and I think there is a reference there to swine flu because a machine for pigs and Mexico, the outbreak area. But yeah, there's that. So okay, the amnesia issue is it's one thing down, one feature they're going to have in the game, and also because it's in the title. Even though that is a series, I mean, you kind of expect all the main characters of the Amnesia series to have amnesia. The second thing, the monsters. We know there's going to be monsters in Amnesia, Machine for Pigs. So the servants, the gatherers and the Karnak and all that, all those things, they'll be the pig monsters or whatever else. We don't even know if there might be different types of pig monsters. There might be a fast pig monster, and then there might be just one that just a really slow one or something that just like you have to do a certain task within so long, otherwise he'll corner you. Now that'd be terrifying to me because you know that he's slowly gaining on you. That would be absolutely terrifying for me. So that's the amnesia and the monsters out of the way. Now the what else? The amnesia and the monsters. Oh, the puzzle element. We know there's going to be puzzles. I mean, now that there's the machine is more industrial, they have more opportunities for puzzles. I think if you look at the what's it called? If you look at the trailer, the Halloween trailer, there's actually a bit where this bath and a section of the wall just spins, and there's like a hidden passageway behind it. I think that's very similar to Amnesia: The Dark Descent, where you pull the books in particular order. You have to pull like 3 books out, then it activates a hidden lever. It activates this hidden door, and you can get into wherever you need to get into. I think it'll be similar to that. So I think the puzzle element as well, that's there. Now, the intense fear of the darkness, the nyctophobia, that was a kind of clever idea. And I wonder how they're going to implement that in the game. For Oswald Manders, I believe that someone actually came up with the idea that he might have homophobia or hemophobia, which is the intense fear of blood. You kind of get petrified or sickened by the sight of blood, which would be a great feature because then he goes into a pig slaughterhouse, blood everywhere, has to hide from the pigs that come in, and he kind of, that would really work. That's brilliant. And I think that's a potential, although the other potential is that he doesn't have a fear as such of anything, that he just kind of has to go through the game with no fear, but it's still obviously massively dangerous. Although I think that if they miss out on something to reduce your sanity other than darkness, I think it would just kind of not ruin the game, but it would kind of be a bit of a disappointment because there's kind of something missing that they'd previously implemented. And the last thing, the shadow. Now, I've read a bit about Amnesia Machine for Pigs, and I've heard that the shadow, there'll be several interlocking storylines. It said some may be real, some may take place in the past, and some may, be fake, some may take place in the future, present, whatever. I reckon that's going to be similar to the flashbacks that Daniel had, although to be fair, that was because Daniel was remembering rather than because although it said some may be real and some may be fake for Machine for Pigs. So I'm wondering whether it'll be like, a state of wakefulness where, you don't know if you're actually awake or not, and then you fall asleep, sort of like because of whatever influence, the equivalent of the shadow, and then you wake up, and then, you have to complete a task, otherwise you might be found by the monsters. In fact, that'd be a good gameplay feature where you just spontaneously fall asleep at any time. It can be potentially at any time you fall asleep, and then you have to complete like a mini task, and then if you don't do it quick enough, the monsters in the real world will find you and kill you. So it's kind of like that tense aspect of, oh god, please don't fall asleep here because I'm really I'm in the open. And it's like, but if you get killed in the dream, you also die in the real world. That's just an idea from me, but that would be a good way to replace the shadow. Although they might actually have like this other guardian of an orb or whatever else he's found in Mexico. So yeah, because actually, if you look at the trailers as well, there's this little girl that they see walking around. He sees walking around, which kind of, it could be like Dead Space: The Marker hallucination. It could be like Alma from Fear, or it could be anything like that. But I think it's because if you listen at the end of the Halloween trailer, he actually hear like Daddy, and it's kind of like a repeating idea of this little girl. So I think Oswald Manders might be a father, and his family's missing, and he has to try and find them, and that's kind of, he's forgotten. He doesn't know anything about where they've gone. And he's kind of trying to find his girl, because it actually says like this, this little piggy went to market at the beginning of the Halloween trailer. Is actually read out in this girl's voice, so I think it's like I think she's going to have a massive part to play. And I think she's either like his daughter who he has to find, or she's an apparition of this like fever that he has that's probably inflicted by like a equivalent of the Shadow. So I think there's a potential to have all the gameplay features of the Dark Descent in A Mission for Pigs, obviously just revamped and changed slightly, so it's not the same boring thing and the same boring style that we've come. I mean, we love the style of Amnesia: The Dark Descent, and we I hope they include all those features in A Mission for Pigs. Just I hope they kind of freshen it up a bit, so it's not literally the same game with a different map. I mean, obviously, I still want it to have the core features of Amnesia. I just do want some new ideas in there, which I have no doubt Frictional Games will be able to do incredibly easily. So I've done the gameplay features, I've done the title, I've even speculated a bit about the kind of what they'll have in the game. If you look in the trailers, also they've got like electricity, so I guess the modern day times will be able to. Well, modern day times, I say that the turn of the century will allow them to implement more sort of different puzzles, because now they can have things that require you to use electricity rather than steam power, although it can work in the same way. So it's quite a flexible, time period. What else have I got to say? The imagery. That's it. If you look in Amnesia: The Dark Descent, there's quite a fair amount of religious imagery in there, which and sort of this idea of power, and because if you look, I'm going to start with the orb. It actually says the orb is something that's been used by this religion. I forgot which religion it was. Actually, I'll have a quick look. But that's just me getting my computer, the laptop even. The orb is used by this religion as a symbol of power, the sun, and the power, I think, sort of the power of the sun, and this idea of it's immense. It's kind of omnipotency. Just give me a minute to find. Nope, can't find it here. I'll probably have to go onto the actual website. Just give me a minute. Anyway, I can't multitask. Right, there we go. Okay. The Dark Descent, the orb, they use it as like a symbol of power, and it says the monarchy, the different monarchs from around Europe use it as like a symbol of power equally. So I think it's kind of a symbol. The orb is like a symbol of kind of divine power in a way. It's kind of godlike, and the shadow is its guardian. It's almost like a guardian angel in a way. If you think about it, it's kind of like this guardian of the orb. It's kind of a guardian of its own power, and the guardian, the shadow, it was almost like kind of a representation of God, fury and utmost power and can't be stopped. And no. Right, here we go. Yeah. And if I just go to shadow, it'll probably be easier to get to orb. Right, yeah, there we go, orbs. Right, now, yes, they're kind of like divine. They're far beyond human creation, and it could be, because alien influence. But the here we go. Was it Mithraism? What the hell's that? Mithraism. Yeah, apparently it's a religion, mystery religion of Mithraism. Okay. Okay, representing the universe. Okay, so orbs were like the sun, I guess, representing the sun and the utmost power of it, or something. Anyway, yeah, the orbs are like this powerful imagery throughout the thing, and I'm going to move quickly on because I've taken up enough of your time on that. The shadow, shadows like kind of like a godlike figure punishing those who misuse their power. Kind of like a sense of, like, in a way of, it's almost like a sense of justice. And it's Daniel even says, like, this was hellfire made to wash away my sins. So it talks a lot about, kind of sins and justice and that. And then there's a bit about, if I'm not mistaken, what was it? Yeah, the Agrippa actually says, what's your name? Daniel, like the prophet thrown into the lion's den, which, if you don't know the story, basically Daniel was this prophet in the Hebrew Bible, and he said he could have these visions, and he it was an advisor to this high public figure in wherever it was, Middle East somewhere. Anyway, these people got jealous of his power, and they convinced the king, I think it is, the king, who he advised to create a law stopping anyone praying to God. And because Daniel was devout Christian, I believe, I think it was, even though it's a Hebrew thing. Anyway, yeah, he was a devout Christian. He prayed to God anyway, and every day, 3 times a day, I think. And he it said that they said, oh, well, you're the king, people should only bow down to you. So they convinced him to write this law. Then Daniel prayed to God. Then and then the king unfortunately had to throw him into this lion's den as a punishment, and for death. And then Daniel was spared because of his faith in God. God sent down an angel to shut the lion's mouth so he couldn't be eaten. So despite being there for a day, Daniel survived it. He came out because he was thrown into the den, and then a boulder was rolled in place so he couldn't escape. Which I kind of think is like the shadow stops Daniel from leaving. He's thrown to this dangerous place and he can't leave. And there's these lions, or if you think about it more, the gatherers, and the shadow's almost like the boulder pushing him onwards. He has to go in this one direction, and then kind of at the end is his redemption. And he can either survive or he can get punished, which is like kind of hell. If you get the bad ending, it's like hell because he gets sucked into he gets devoured by the shadow. The shadow kills him, and then he's stuck forever in this darkness, which is his greatest fear. So it's kind of like hell for him. If he saves Agrippa, he's kind of accepted into heaven. If you think about it, it's almost like an image for heaven, where he's rewarded for helping Agrippa, or he can push over all the pillars and then escape with his life. And he said, that's hellfire made to wash away my sins. I've redeemed myself. And he's kind of like him leaving the lion's den, in a sense. And at the end, at the end of the in the book of Daniel, basically what happens is the people that advised the king to write the law then got thrown to the lion's den themselves, but they got eaten by the lions, which is kind of like the if you do the good ending or the revenge ending, so you either knock over the pillars or you throw Agrippa's head into the portal, you you kind of live. I guess Daniel kind of lives in one way or another, and what's his name? Alexander is killed by the shadow, which is devoured by the lions in that sense. So it's quite a lot of religious imagery in there. Now, what was it? Machine for Pigs. Oswald Mandus. If you've ever heard of Ozymandias, which is it was a character from a poem. I'm not going to bore you reading it out, but essentially what it is, it talks about in this desert there's these ruins, and there's this mad king, I think, just whipping nothing and saying, come bow to my kingdom, sort of thing. And it's basically, the moral of the story is, no matter how powerful the leaders are at the time, every empire will crumble. And if you think about Oswald Mandus is a wealthy industrialist in London. He's got like a corporate empire in a sense, if you think about it. So his empire has crumbled. Like this idea that he's being stalked by these pig monsters and that whatever else is going on. So in a way, his empire has crumbled at this point. Yeah, so that's the names. That's the names dealt with. I'm just trying to think what else. The pigs, the relevance of the pigs as well. Could they be the swine. So in the sense of the poor people, I don't know, because they said, oh, you're swine, you're pigs, you're dirty and unclean, and that it could in that sense mean pigs as in the poor people, the lower class, and they've been fed into a machine in sense like the factory. They've been kind of mercilessly, used by the rich capitalists, and now they're rising and they're taking revenge by hunting down Oswald Manders and the other factory owners, or whoever else. I'm saying other factory owners, it could just be literally just Oswald Manders and that's it, but I'm assuming that there's other people involved in this, because he does talk to someone. He says, Professor, he says, I admire your vision, Mr. Manders, I truly do, but there are surely not enough pigs in the whole of London to feed the appetite of such a machine. And then you hear, that all rather depends, Professor, on what one considers to be a pig, which, from the sounds of it, is probably workers, the lower class. Although it could also mean equally the rich capitalists. Said the swine will rise, although that sounds like the resources, like the pigs that they slaughter. So it'll be very interesting to see where all that comes from. I'm desperately looking forward to this game, and release dates is what I've heard, because they said it's going to be released for 2012 Halloween. But then obviously they had to push it back, and they said early 2013. Now they're saying 2013. I've heard rumours that it's going to be released sometime in, around about Halloween 2013. Although someone said that's probably just a rumour. Then it said Q1 and Q2 2013. I have no idea what that even means, but someone said something about Q1 is 31st of December, 31st of March 2013. And don't know what Q2 is, although I'm guessing that's probably Halloween 2013. Although we're still in January when I recorded this, by the way. This is just purely speculation. The last thing that's come out about Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs, is the Halloween trailer back in 2012. Nothing else has been released, so this is all speculation on my part and other people's parts. Right, what else have I got on the game? Yeah, essentially it's going to be, I don't think there's going to be, a direct link to The Dark Descent, although there will be. It's set in the same universe. And the only thing I'm worried about is they're going to create loads of random things that the only purpose for them being there is to move the story forward, and then they'll just never mention them again, which is what I hope that they have some link with The Dark Descent, maybe even if it's just like the Shadow, because that will save them from creating another entity which they'll then have to use, they won't use again, so it's kind of a waste it being there. I like the idea of, you creating something and then using it. So rather than just saying, oh, look, we've got the Shadow, let's never use it again. Well, it's still there, it's still, let's use it again. You might as well use it, because what happened, I want to know actually what happened to Daniel. But unfortunately, because it says it's an indirect sequel, I doubt they'll actually include it in the next game. But anything like, they won't include Daniel, they won't include the Shadow. They won't include Brennenberg, but then again, we never needed Brennenberg. We know what happens to Brennenberg, really. It collapses. One way or another. Alexander's no longer with us. He's either gone through the portal or he's dead. Daniel's left. He's either gone through the portal after helping Agrippa. He's either dead at the hands of the Shadow, or he's escaped with his life after helping the Shadow and stopping Alexander going through the portal. So Brennenberg's kind of long forgotten. I think that's pretty much it, really. The only thing I've got left to say is, just tell me what you think. If you've actually got this far into the video, well, thank you for putting up with me, and thank you for putting up with me anyway, even if you just skipped to the end. This is just something I thought I'd speculate on, so that I can see how close I get when the game actually does come out. I'll be doing a playthrough, hopefully, if you look on my channel. I'll be doing a playthrough with a couple of friends. I think one of my friends has got a YouTube channel. I'll hopefully be doing it with him, or that'll be my other friend who actually gets the game because he's got the Dark Descent already. So yeah, if you look up, I'm trying to think what it's called. His channel is Dodo234 or something like that. Yeah, we'll either post it on my channel or his channel. Hopefully mine, because mine's quite bland at the moment, and he does karaoke, I think. So anyway, yeah, actually, yeah, if you're on my channel, you probably already know, because he does the voice audition for the voice acting role in Fallout Equestria mod. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much the entire game. That's everything I got to say about the entire game. Don't know what else to say other than I think, yeah, so far, that's pretty much everything we know about it. I'm just looking it up, see if there's anything I missed. People are really reacting positively to this. I hope it's helped you. If you've got any suggestions, just put them in the comments about anything else that I've missed out. Here we go. Set in 1899, 60 years after the Dark Descent, the game will follow Oswald Mandus, a wealthy industrialist who returns from a disastrous expedition to Mexico, where tragedy struck. Hit by fever, Mandus has frequent dreams about a dark machine until he regains consciousness. Little does he know that months have passed, and upon awakening he hears the roar of an engine, and a mysterious machine starts up. The game will feature several interlocking storylines. Some take place in the past, some in the present, and some are overtly real, while some may be imagined. Great, so I think that's just about everything. It looks like there's going to be several locations. Ooh, this is a new one here. Ooh, I haven't seen that before. Concept art. Wow, they got electricity all over the place. Wires and everything. That's not human. That doesn't look like the also, yeah, something else I forgot to mention. The how in the Dark Descent it's in a castle in 1839, which is fine. Brennenburg Castle in Prussia, which is now near Germany. If you think about Germany and Poland, you'd get a rough idea of where Prussia was. Yeah, well, that was a castle, looked just like a castle you'd expect for sort of kind of an aristocracy or wealthy nobleman or something. That looked just like a castle, but they're also the the alien sides of it, the kind of advanced aspects of it that you didn't expect to see. Well, this is an aspect I don't expect to see here. Looks like they've got stone pillars and bridges, and looks like a long hallway of or bigger than that. It's like a chamber of pylons that arcing electricity going between. If you look on the wiki, it's got a lot of information. Yeah, it looks like they've got several things. They've got a machine on the I forgot what it's called now. Machine on the in the trailer. Sorry, I've got a cold actually. Just forgive me for my they've got on the trailer. They've got this kind of like, I don't even know what it is. I've never seen it before. It's like a machine that he's putting something into to power it, I presume. And he God, who knows? Anyway, yeah, it's got the slaughterhouse for the pigs, and it's got the actually that would be a good feature if they have like a meat locker, and then you have to walk between these rows of like hanging meat, like hanging corpses of pigs. Imagine what that would be like then when pig monster jumps out at you. Anyway, yeah, you got like a music. Oh, you got a gun. Not, you haven't actually got a gun, but they got a rifle in or shotgun or something in the a locker at the end, or the cabinet. And they've got like a museum by the looks of it. They've got sort of not futuristic, but like alien-esque aspects to it. Like a location. They've got a factory, but oh yeah, there's the machine I was on about. Looks like don't even know. It looks like a sort of UFO on legs. They've got like a church with pigs. okay, they got like a pig Jesus sort of you got like a pig on a crucifix, like in the same way as Jesus. So I'm guessing it's going to be like imagine half the game, which sounds a bit, awkward. But hey, yep. Then they got steam powered machinery, steps. They got levers. Looks like puzzle work. They've got blood spattered areas. Wow, they've put a lot of work into this. Looks amazing. I love that. Wow. And they've got meat. They got like a dining hall, and it looks like they got a human on the table. Can't see because it's concept art, but they've got guns lining the walls. It looks like like a rich, dining hall, but they've got a human lying on the table. I think that could be my interpretation, and it might be wrong. But they've got a chair knocked over, just one, but they've got like bloodied meat on the table. Looks like intestines or stuff, but and they've got like this. Oh, I think I know what it's going to be about. I think this is just speculation again, but I think that it's going to be role reversal, and that the pigs going around trying to slaughter humans to like as a kind of ironic role reversal. So instead of us slaughtering pigs for food, we're being slaughtered by the pigs. And it says the swine will rise, and I can't wait. Wow, that yes. I cannot wait for this. But yeah, anyway, just look around a bit. Hope this has helped you. Anyone that gives a damn, if you give a damn. Anyway, yeah, so thank you for listening. I'm really looking forward to this game. I hope you are too. Yeah, I'll be doing a playthrough. Sorry for the long video, but yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this. Here's to all you guys. Have fun playing it. I know I will.